Somalis are not black. Let me explain why. Looking at me right now, chat, am I black? I'm literally brown. I'm literally brown, bro. Think about it as well. Somalis are Arabs.
Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome to this episode. Hope you all good wherever you are. Now, for years, Black Americans have always spoken openly about the dangers of US immigration enforcement, policing systems, and racialized surveillance. They've always warned that in the US, blackness, regardless of nationality, shapes how one may be treated in the United States. Now, following President Trump's statement about the Somali community in Minnesota, American Somalis are now regretting turning a deaf ear to the warnings issued by Black Americans. Let's first watch this video and I'll be back with a commentary.
Somalians ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I can say that about other countries, too. I can say it about other countries, too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain, and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
Tiny piece of the population, some of the most vulnerable people in our country. But Trump based his order on a report whose author has made it clear that his goal is to denaturalize and deport as many Somali Americans as possible. This is not about crime. It's not about safety. This is about purging people like me from this country. Minnesota has always been a welcoming place for people fleeing a home country that is blasted by war, poverty, and hunger. Europeans in the 19th and 20th century, Black Americans from the South, Hmong and Vietnamese, Liberians in East Africa.
Trump is calling for the deportation for Somali people, and he is sending ICE into the Somali community. Black people, you might want to sit this one out. Even though you can look at the Somali people and see that they have black, brown skin, you cannot tell them that. They say they don't look like black people. The culture is different. They don't want anything to do with blackness and black culture. They do not fuck with black people, and they get mad if you call them black. And the sad part is, this is deeply rooted. They are taught this shit in the churches, in their communities. Just take a listen to how they talk about black people.
Most of the people that we meet, especially African Americans, they don't even know their fathers. They don't even know their fathers. It was all of them, most of them were the product of one night stand. One night stand. They would tell you, I don't know my father. Well, who named you? Whose name are you carrying? Well, my mother chose his name for me. I don't know. Is that what we want for our ummah? No. كلهم أو معظمهم أبناء الزنا. أبناء الزنا. Why? Because man, he has to give up the seed. And because the marriage will limit them, they will go from one to another to a third.
Somalis are not black. Let me explain why. Looking at me right now, chat, am I black? I'm literally brown. I'm literally brown, bro. Think about it as well. Somalis are Arabs.
Are you guys black? Are Habesha people black?
I would consider.
We are Somalis, not black. There, I said it.
Somalis are not black. There's a difference between African and black.
Somalia, which is barely a country, you know, they have no anything. They just run around killing each other. We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage.
Now, I'm not saying all Somalis feel like this. And I'm not saying that what Trump is doing is right. All I'm saying is I'm going to just sit this one out. Do what y'all want. But let me know what you think in the comments.
Look, after hearing what that man said about the Somalis in Minnesota, I just got to say, some of y'all needed to learn this lesson the hard way. Y'all didn't want to believe that Black Americans knew what we were talking about. You did not want to believe that. A lot of people have come to this country from different parts of the world, and the first thing they do in order to assimilate to American culture is adopt the mentality that Black Americans are just complaining and not trying to warn people who is in charge and how they feel about anybody that is not of a certain flavor. Y'all always say stuff like, I just gotta work hard enough, get the right education, I gotta behave a certain way. That is why these people are struggling. And as long as I don't act like them, I will not be in danger. And there's really no other way to explain it, That's how you feel. You teach your kids to think that way, all right? And it literally takes for them to say what that man said in order for you to start understanding that we were trying to warn you this whole time. That man literally said they're garbage. He said they're garbage and we don't want them in this country. But you know what's crazy? You know what's really crazy? You heard that one man say on CNN, they'll still vote Republican. They'll still vote alongside these people. I can't explain it, but they will absolutely keep trying to appeal to their abusers. Because at the end of the day, the sickness that I really believe has been, bred here in America is that sickness of convenience. And for some reason, it is more convenient to do everything you can to appeal to these people that don't want you here than actually take a stand and vote alongside or speak alongside or stand hand in hand, arm in arm with the same individuals who they are oppressing. Because what you really want is your shot at the top. That's what a lot of people really want. They want their shot at the top. It doesn't really, solidarity, all that stuff, they're not interested. It's like, call me crazy, but the longer Trump 2.0 goes on, I'm starting to think that the only group that did not vote with inherent selfishness and inherent cruelty was Black Americans. I would like to live in a different country now. Honestly, I'm kind of sick of this fever dream that we call America.
Honestly, the Somalians and the Blacks have been beefing, okay? This ain't no new shit. Especially when I was in high school, there used to be Somali blood gangs against the GDs, against the regular Bloods, all type of shit, okay? And this stems from when the Somalians were coming over here. They were taught propaganda to stay the fuck away from Black Americans. So when I did make Somalian friends in high school, I was never allowed over their house, none of that, because their parents fucking hated me. And I think this is just a part of the American tactic, y'all. So America is now using that same propaganda to hold us against each other and to hate each other, when especially white people cannot tell the difference between Black Americans and Somalis. They literally treat us the same. And that's what Black Americans have been trying to tell Somalian people for a very fucking long time when they came over here trying to act privileged, that you are not ever going to be seen for more than us. You will always be the shit on the end of the stick when it comes to white people. Yes, you guys were given opportunities, and white people at first were greeting you and happy you were here for that tax credit, but baby, now you're taking their resources and they don't fuck with that shit.
Hello brothers and sisters, thank you for joining today's commentary. Now today we're diving into a sensitive but essential conversation, as you've seen from the videos. The recent stories of immigration rates affecting Somali communities and the growing realization among some Somalis that they may have underestimated the warnings, experiences, and historical knowledge of Black Americans. This isn't about blame. It's not about shaming any community, but it's about reflection, education, and understanding, because the African diaspora in the United States is stronger when it learns from each other, not when communities operate in isolation. Now, for many years, many Black Americans have spoken openly of the dangers of U.S. immigration enforcement, policing system, and racialized surveillance. As I had said earlier, They warned sometimes quietly and sometimes loudly that in America, blackness, regardless of nationality, shapes how one may be treated by the system. But for some Somali migrants, understandably proud of their heritage, culture, and identity, the message didn't always land. Some felt they are not African American, they are Somali, they don't have their history, and they aren't part of that experience. And it's true, Somalis do have a different historical trajectory, a different homeland, languages, traditions, and even struggles. But in America, systems don't always draw the same distinctions individuals make for themselves. And now, as ICE carries out raids, detainments, and deportation that target Somali immigrants, a painful recognition is emerging. The same structures Black Americans have fought against for generations do not discriminate because they were not built to. To understand why Black Americans want other Black immigrants, we need to look at the history. Now, for over 400 years, Black Americans have lived under laws designed to control their movement, surveillance systems built to monitor and punish, policing practices shaped by racial bias, policies that disproportionately decriminalize Black bodies. Black Americans did not read about all these structures in textbooks, but they lived them generation after generation. So when Black Americans warned Somali immigrants about ICE, about profiling, about unequal treatment, it wasn't out of paranoia or exaggeration. It was lived knowledge, historical muscle memory, and was the same lesson passed down since slavery. Reconstruction, Jim Crow, the war on drugs, and the era of mass incarceration. Now, many Black Americans looked at new African immigrants and said essentially, you may come from a different culture, but the system will still see you as Black. This wasn't gatekeeping, it wasn't hostility, it was just an attempt to share survival knowledge because Black Americans understood exactly how quickly policies can turn, how easily the state can expand its power, and how often Black communities are targeted first. And it's important to acknowledge the other side. Somalis didn't ignore these warnings because they were naive or arrogant, but they came from a context where clan identity, nationality, and religion played a major role in shaping community life. When arriving in America, many Somali migrants held tightly to their culture, language, tradition, and their sense of self. This is perfectly normal, it's healthy, and it's human. And many wanted to distinguish themselves from African Americans, not out of disrespect, but out of the immigrant instinct to define their place in a new world. But here's where the misunderstanding grew. Cultural differences does not erase racial perception. America has a long, deeply entrenched habit of categorizing entire groups by appearance before understanding their nationality. So, when Somalis said, we are no Black Americans, the system responded, you are Black. And when they said, our struggle is different, the system maintained, but our treatment of you will be similar. If there is one thing Black Americans have mastered over centuries, it is how to survive oppressive systems through collective action. Their history offers lessons for all Black immigrants. 1. Solidarity is protection. During the Civil Rights Movement, Black Americans understood that fragmentation weakens and unity strengthens Somali, Nigerian, Caribbean, and African communities standing together. Today can build a power base that none could build alone. 2. Know your rights, because the system counts on you not knowing them. Black Americans learned that without legal literacy, systems can move unchecked. Somali communities can benefit from the vast advocacy networks and legal knowledge that Black Americans cultivated for decades. The third one, public silence in vulnerability. When injustices happen quietly, the state often keeps pushing forward. Black Americans last to organize, to protest, to speak loudly, and those tactics can protect immigrant communities as well. Respectably, is not a shield Black Americans learned that being a model citizen does not always protect you from structural racism. Many immigrants initially believe that good behavior, work ethic, and education ensure safety, but history shows that systems don't always care. So what should happen at the moment? The first one is Somali and Black Americans communities should talk, not past each other, but to each other. Conversation about race, identity, and shared challenges must happen openly, not in whispers, not only during crisis, but consistently and respectfully. Somali Americans should embrace, not reject, the political experience of Black Americans. This doesn't mean abandoning Somali identity. It means adding another layer of understanding, recognizing that within America's racial structure, your lived experience will sometimes overlap with that of Black Americans. Black Americans should continue welcoming immigrants to their advocacy networks because solidarity strengthens everyone. Black Americans know how to organize, how to respond to state overreach, and how to advocate for policy change. Immigrant communities benefit tremendously from that experience. For building coalition instead of comparison, it's not about who suffered more. It's not about whose struggle is more valid. It's about recognizing that systems affecting one group today may affect another group tomorrow. And today, Somali communities are experiencing what Black Americans have warned about for decades. As ICE conducts raids affecting Somali communities, the moment is painful, but it is also a chance for connection, understanding, and transformation, and also learning. If there is a silver lining, it is this. Now, Somali Americans and Black Americans have a new opportunity to stand together, not to separate groups, but as part of a shared struggle for dignity, safety, and justice. Let this be a reminder that listening to each other matters, history matters, and the wisdom of those who walked through fire before another group should never be dismissed, because their stories might one day help save others. Thank you for watching this video, and kindly subscribe, comment, like, and even share this video to spread this lesson. See you in the next episode. Goodbye.